The great crystal palace of Nethys Prime sparkled under 3 suns. King Daesung stood on his high balcony, watching the stars. His daughter would return today from her important mission. Princess He-Jin had been gone for 2 weeks trying to make peace with the neutral systems. The war with the Korthak Federation had lasted too long. Too many good soldiers had died. The king's scales shimmered blue-green in the morning light. Like all Valerians, he was tall and strong, with natural armor covering his body. His people were proud warriors who could heal from most wounds and speak with their minds. They ruled 3 star systems and commanded the respect of many alien races. But the Korthak were different. They were cruel and wanted to destroy everything the Valerians had built. The war had been going on for 10 years now, and both sides were getting tired. "My lord," Commander Boram entered the room. She was one of the king's most trusted officers. Her purple scales showed her high rank. "We have received a message from the Border Patrol." King Daesung turned around. Something in Boram's voice made him worried. "What news do you bring?" Boram looked down at the floor. "The princess's convoy has not arrived at the meeting point. They were supposed to be there 3 days ago." The king felt his heart skip a beat. Valerians had 2 hearts, and both of them were now beating very fast. "Perhaps they took a different route. The space lanes can be dangerous." "We checked all possible routes, my lord. There is no sign of the princess or her ships." King Daesung walked to his communication panel. The holographic display showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked Korthak territory. Green dots showed Valerian space. Between them was a thin line of neutral systems. "Send out search parties," the king ordered. "Check every planet, every asteroid. My daughter is the best pilot in the fleet. She would not be defeated easily." For 3 days, Valerian ships searched the space between their territory and the neutral zone. They found nothing. On the 4th day, they discovered something terrible. Lieutenant Dong Ho was piloting a small scout ship when his sensors picked up metal debris floating in space. He moved closer and saw the twisted remains of what had been a Valerian transport. The metal was burned and torn apart. "Command, this is Scout 7, Dong Ho reported. His voice shook as he spoke. "I have found wreckage. It matches the energy signature of Princess He-Jin's ship." More search ships arrived. They found pieces of 3 different Valerian vessels scattered across a wide area. The ships had been completely destroyed. There were no escape pods, no survivors, and no bodies. Everything had been vaporized in the explosion. Commander Boram examined the wreckage carefully. She was an expert in space battles and knew what different weapons could do. "These blast patterns," she told the king over the communication link. "They match Korthak plasma cannons. This was an ambush." King Daesung felt something break inside his chest. His daughter, his only child, was gone. The Korthak had murdered her while she was trying to make peace. The funeral ceremony lasted for 7 days. Princess He-Jin had been loved by all the Valerian people. She was kind and smart, and everyone knew she would have been a great queen someday. Now that future was gone forever. The king stood before 1 million people in the capital city. His voice carried across the crowd without any technology. Valerians could project their thoughts and voices great distances. "My daughter died trying to bring peace to our galaxy," he said. "She believed that all thinking beings could live together without war. The Korthak have shown us how wrong that belief was. They killed her because they feared peace more than they feared our weapons." The crowd was silent. Even the children did not make any noise. "From this day forward, there will be no more talk of peace with the Korthak," the king continued. "They understand only violence. So violence is what we will give them. We will hunt them across every star system. We will destroy their ships and break their worlds. We will make them pay for what they have done to my daughter." The people cheered. They loved their princess and wanted revenge too. But some of the older Valerians looked worried. They remembered that Princess He-Jin had always said that revenge only created more enemies. In the months that followed, King Daesung became a different person. Before his daughter's death, he had been firm but fair. He listened to advice and thought carefully before making decisions. Now he was angry all the time. He ordered attacks that killed thousands of Korthak soldiers. He refused to accept surrender from enemy commanders. He wanted them all dead. Commander Boram watched her, king with growing concern. She had served the royal family for 20 years and had never seen King Daesung like this. The war was consuming him. "My lord," she said during one of their strategy meetings, "perhaps we should consider the offer from the Zephyrian Republic. They want to help mediate a peace treaty." The king's eyes flashed with anger. "Peace? There will be no peace while a single Korthak draws breath. They killed my daughter, Boram. They murdered the future of our people. With respect, sir, Princess Hyejin would not have wanted this. She believed in finding ways to end conflicts, not make them worse." King Daesung stood up so fast that his chair fell over. "Do not tell me what my daughter would have wanted. She is dead because she believed in peace. I will not make the same mistake." Boram bowed her head. She knew there was no point in arguing when the king was like this. 3 years passed. The war with the Korthak grew worse every day. Other alien races started to avoid Valerian space because they were afraid of getting caught in the fighting. Trade declined, and many Valerian worlds suffered from shortages of food and supplies. King Daesung spent most of his time in the war room, studying battle reports and planning new attacks. He rarely slept and ate very little. The loss of his daughter had changed him into someone his own people barely recognized. Late at night, he would stand on his balcony and look up at the stars. Somewhere out there, his daughter's atoms were floating in the cold emptiness of space. He had failed to protect her. He had failed as a father and as a king, but he would have his revenge. The Korthak would pay for what they had done. Even if it took the rest of his life, even if it destroyed his entire empire, he would make them pay. The stars looked down on the broken king, cold and silent, keeping their secrets. The ground was hard and cold when Princess Hyejin opened her eyes. Pain shot through her body like lightning. She tried to sit up but fell back down with a cry. Something was very wrong with her left arm. Above her, 2 strange suns shone in an alien sky. This was not Valerian space. She was somewhere else, somewhere far from home. The princess tried to remember what had happened. The convoy had been traveling through neutral space when the Korthak ships attacked. She remembered explosions, screaming metal, and the terrible moment when her ship's hull was torn apart. She had managed to reach an escape pod just before everything went white. Now she was lying in a crater next to the twisted remains of her pod. The crash had been bad, but she was alive. Her Valerian body was tough and could heal from most injuries, but she needed time and safety. Hyejin looked around. She was on a planet with strange purple grass and tall blue trees. The air smelled different, but she could breathe it. In the distance, she could see smoke rising from what might be buildings. She tried to use her communication device, but it was broken. Her weapons were gone, lost in the crash. Her royal clothes were torn and dirty. For the first time in her life, Princess Hyejin was completely alone. It took her most of the day to walk to where she had seen the smoke. Her injuries made every step painful, but she kept going. As she got closer, she could see that the buildings were small and simple, made from local materials. This was not an advanced civilization. Strange beings were working in fields near the buildings. They walked on 2 legs like Valerians, but they were smaller and their skin was soft and pink instead of scaled. They had hair growing from their heads instead of the beautiful crests that Valerians were proud of. When these beings saw her, they stopped working and stared. Some of them pointed at her and spoke in a language she did not understand. They seemed afraid. One of them stepped forward. He was taller than the others and moved with confidence. His hair was black and his eyes were dark brown. He spoke to her in the strange language, but when she did not answer, he tried other languages. Finally, he spoke in basic Galactic, the trade language that most spacefaring races knew. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Do you need help?" "Yes," Hyejin whispered. She was surprised that this primitive being could speak a civilized language. "I am injured. My ship crashed." The tall being turned to the others and spoke quickly in their own language. Some of them seemed to be arguing, but he spoke firmly and they became quiet. "My name is Jin Wu," he said to the princess. "We will help you. But first, I need to know what you are. We have never seen anything like you before." "I am Hyejin of the Valerian Empire," she said. trying to stand straight despite the pain. I am... She stopped. Should she tell these primitives that she was royalty? I am a Valarian. Jinwoo nodded. We call ourselves humans. This is our settlement. Come, let us take care of your wounds. The humans helped her to a simple building made of stone and wood. Inside, a female human with gentle hands examined her injuries. The woman spoke to Jinwoo in their language and he translated. Yunji says your arm is broken, but it will heal. She can help with medicine, but she has never treated anyone like you before. Over the following days, Hyejin learned about these humans. They had come to this planet many generations ago from a world called Earth. Their ship had broken down, and they could not leave, so they built a new life here. They grew food, made tools, and lived simply, but well. Jinwoo was their leader, though they did not call him a king or emperor. He had been chosen because he was smart and good at solving problems. He knew how to fix machines and build things. That worked. We are not advanced like the races we hear about on the communication signals, Jinwoo explained one evening as they sat by a fire. But we survive. We take care of each other. We make the best of what we have. Hyejin was surprised by how much she enjoyed talking with him. In the royal court, everyone always agreed with her or told her what they thought she wanted to hear. Jinwoo was different. He asked questions and shared his own ideas. He treated her like an equal, not like a princess. Tell me about your empire, he said. What is it like to rule the stars? We do not rule them, Hyejin said. We protect them. The Valarian Empire brings order and peace to many worlds. We stop wars and help weaker races. And yet you were fleeing from a battle when you crashed here, Jinwoo pointed out. It sounds like your peace is not working very well. Hyejin felt angry at first. How dare this primitive question the ways of the Valarian Empire? But then, she thought about it. The war with the Korthak had been going on for 10 years. Many people had died. Maybe Jinwoo was not completely wrong. As the weeks passed, Hyejin learned to see the humans differently. They might not have advanced technology, but they were clever. Jinwoo showed her how they had modified simple tools to do complex jobs. They had built machines that used wind and water for power. They had created a society where everyone had enough to eat and no one was left behind. How do you settle arguments? She asked one day. We talk about them, Jinwoo said. Everyone gets to speak. We keep talking until we find a solution that works for most people. What if someone refuses to accept the decision? Then we talk some more. Sometimes it takes a long time, but fighting never solves anything permanently. Hyejin thought about her father and how he made decisions for billions of people. He was wise and fair, but he never asked ordinary Valarians what they thought. Maybe there was something to learn from these humans. Jinwoo was also learning from her. She taught him about advanced engineering and showed him how to improve their machines. She explained how different races lived among the stars and shared stories of worlds he could barely imagine. Your people sound amazing, he said one night. They must be very proud to have you as their princess. Hyejin looked up at the alien stars. I hope my father thinks I am dead. If he knew I was alive but trapped here, he would send the entire fleet to rescue me. That would start a war with whoever controls this region of space. Would that be so bad? To go home? Not for me, she said quietly. But many people would. Die in such a war, including your people, probably. Jinwoo was quiet for a long time. Then he said, You really do care about peace, don't you? Even when it costs you something. My father taught me that a ruler's first duty is to protect those who cannot protect themselves. But I am starting to think there are many ways to do that. As her injuries healed, Hyejin worked alongside the humans in their fields and workshops. She learned to use simple tools and to solve problems with creativity instead of technology. The humans learned to trust her, and she learned to respect their way of life. For the first time since she was a child, Princess Hyejin felt truly happy. There was something wonderful about this simple life, about working with your hands and seeing the results of your efforts every day, but their peaceful time was about to end. Unknown to them, Korthak search ships were getting closer every day. The warning came from Minho, Jinwoo's younger brother. He had been working on the communication equipment when strange signals appeared on the scanner. Ships were coming, and they were not friendly. 3 vessels, Minho reported, his voice tight with fear. They match no design in our database, but their weapons are active. Jinwoo looked at He-jin. Over the past 3 months, she had become part of their community, but they all knew this day might come. "Are they your people?" he asked. He-jin studied the scanner readings. Her face went pale. "No, these are Korthak ships. They must be searching for survivors from the attack on my convoy." The first ship landed in the fields outside the settlement. It was black and ugly, covered with spikes and weapon ports. Armored soldiers poured out of it, carrying energy weapons that could kill with a single shot. "Attention, primitive beings," a voice boomed from the ship's speakers. The Korthak spoke in basic Galactic, but their accent made the words sound cruel. "We are searching for a Valerian survivor. Surrender the alien to us, and your deaths will be quick." Jinwoo gathered his people in the town center. There were only about 200 humans in the settlement, including children and elderly. They had hunting weapons and some old military equipment from their colony ship, but nothing that could fight advanced alien technology. "We cannot surrender, He-jin," Jinwoo told the crowd. "The Korthak will kill her and then kill us anyway, to hide their war crimes." "What can we do?" asked Unji, the healer. "Our weapons are useless against their armor." "We fight," said an older man named Wan-sik. He had been a soldier before coming to this planet. "We make them pay for every step they take." "They have energy shields and plasma weapons," another person said. "We might as well throw rocks at them." "Then we throw rocks," Jinwoo said firmly. "We use everything we have. This is our home. These are our families. We do not surrender." He-jin stepped forward. "You should not fight for me. I will go to them. Maybe I can convince them to spare your settlement." "No," Jinwoo said. "The Korthak do not show mercy. We all fight together, or we all die together." The humans scattered to prepare their defenses. They had practiced for attacks by wild animals or bandits, but never for something like this. Still, they moved with purpose and determination that surprised He-jin. So Young, Jinwoo's sister, was an expert with electronics. She began modifying their communication equipment to jam the Korthak signals. "If we can blind their sensors," she explained, "they will have to come closer to find us." The humans set traps in the forest paths. They dug holes covered with branches and filled them with sharp stakes. They strung wires between trees to trip running soldiers. They prepared explosives made from mining supplies. He-jin watched in amazement. These humans had no military training, but they understood their environment perfectly. They turned their own planet into a weapon. The first Korthak patrol entered the forest that evening. There were 12 soldiers in full battle armor, carrying enough firepower to level a building. They expected to find primitives hiding in fear. Instead, they walked into a carefully planned ambush. The lead soldier stepped into a hidden pit and fell onto sharp stakes. His armor protected him from the wooden points, but the fall damaged his equipment. While he struggled to climb out, the other soldiers rushed to help him. That was when the humans attacked. Arrows came from the trees, not aimed at the soldier's armor, but at the joints and gaps where the armor was weak. Explosives hidden under fallen logs detonated, throwing dirt and rocks that clogged the soldiers' air filters. The Korthak fired their weapons wildly, burning down trees and starting fires, but they could not see their enemies in the smoke and shadows. The humans moved like ghosts, striking and then disappearing. Within an hour, 5 Korthak soldiers were dead and the rest were wounded and confused. They retreated to their ship to report to their commander. Captain Tae-hyun was the leader of the Korthak search force. He was a veteran of many battles and had never been defeated by primitives before. The report from his patrol made him angry. "Impossible," he snarled. "How can beasts without technology defeat trained soldiers?" "They know the terrain, sir," the wounded patrol leader said. "They use it against us, and they fight without fear." "Then we burn the forest," Tae-hyun decided. "We use the ship's weapons to destroy their hiding places. They cannot fight what they cannot reach." The next morning, the Korthak ships began bombing the forest. Their plasma cannons turned trees to ash and melted rocks into glass. But the humans had prepared for this, too. They had dug tunnels connecting their buildings to caves in the nearby hills. When the bombing started, everyone moved underground. The Korthak destroyed empty buildings and burned empty forests. They are like insects, Jinwoo told his people as they waited in the caves. They have powerful weapons, but no imagination. We can use that against them. While the bombing continued above, the humans prepared their next surprise. So Young had been working with parts from He Jin's crashed ship, combining Valerian technology with human engineering. She had built something that no one had ever seen before. It is a feedback pulse, she explained to Jinwoo. If we can get close enough to their ships, it will overload their energy systems. How close? Jinwoo asked. Very close. Someone would have to carry it right up to their hull. That is suicide, Yunji said. Maybe, So Young admitted. But it might work. Hye-jin had been listening to their planning. She was impressed by human creativity, but worried about their willingness to sacrifice themselves. There is another way, she said. I know Korthak ship designs. If we can create a distraction, I can get close enough to plant the device. You are still injured, Jinwoo pointed out. And if they capture you, they will torture me for information about Valerian defenses, Hye-jin finished. I know the risks. But I also know that you humans do not give up. That gives me strength. They planned the attack for that night. The humans would create multiple diversions around the Korthak ships, while Hye-jin and Jinwoo approached the main vessel. It was dangerous and probably hopeless, but it was better than waiting to die. As they prepared for what might be their last battle, Hye-jin realized something had changed in her. 3 months ago, she would have tried to negotiate or find a diplomatic solution. Now she was ready to fight alongside these brave humans who had accepted her as one of their own. Why are you helping me? She asked Jinwoo as they checked their equipment. Because it is right, he said simply. And because you have become family to us. We protect our family. Family. Hye-jin had never thought of it that way. In the royal court, relationships were about duty and politics. Here among the humans, they were about choice and loyalty. Tomorrow they would fight for their lives against impossible odds. But tonight, Princess Hye-jin of the Valerian Empire felt like she truly belonged somewhere for the first time in her life. The attack began at midnight. Small groups of humans struck at the Korthak positions from 6 different directions, using hit-and-run tactics that kept the enemy confused and angry. Explosions lit up the night sky as homemade bombs damaged Korthak equipment. While the aliens chased shadows in the forest, Hye-jin and Jinwoo crept toward the main ship. The princess moved with the natural grace of a trained warrior, but Jinwoo surprised her with how quietly he could move through the darkness. You were a soldier before becoming a leader, she whispered. No, Jinwoo replied softly. I was an engineer, but when you live on a dangerous planet, you learn many skills. They reached the edge of the landing area. The Korthak ship loomed above them like a metal mountain. Guards patrolled around it, but they were focused on the fighting in the forest. So Young's communication jamming was working. The ship's sensors could not see through the electronic noise. Remember, Hye-jin said, the device must be placed on the main power coupling. It is usually near the engine ports. They crawled under the ship's hull. Jinwoo carried the feedback pulse device while Hye-jin led the way to the right location. The Korthak had not expected an attack on their ship itself, so there were no guards underneath. Just as they found the power coupling, alarms began screaming across the ship. Someone had discovered their infiltration. Hurry, Hye-jin urged. Jinwoo worked quickly to attach the device. His hands were steady despite the danger. In seconds it was done. Now we run, he said, but it was too late. Korthak soldiers surrounded them with weapons ready. Captain Tae-hyun stepped forward, his armor scorched from the battle in the forest. So, he said in his harsh voice, the Valerian princess lives, and she has made friends with the local beasts. They are not beasts, Hye-jin said, standing proudly despite being captured. They are humans, and they are braver than any Korthak warrior. Tae-hyun laughed. Brave? They hide in caves and set traps like cowards. True warriors fight face to face. True warriors protect the innocent, Jinwoo said quietly. They do not murder diplomats. The Korthak captain raised his weapon to strike Jinwoo. But before he could move, the night sky exploded with light. Valerian warships dropped out of hyperspace directly above the planet. Their hulls gleamed silver in the moonlight, and their weapons powered up with a sound like thunder. "This is Admiral Kyung-soo of the Valerian Imperial Fleet," a voice boomed from the ship's speakers. "You are in violation of interstellar law. Release the prisoners and surrender immediately." Captain Tae-hyun's face twisted with rage. "Impossible! How did they find this place?" High above the planet, King Dae-sung stood on the bridge of his flagship. 3 months ago, his ship's long-range sensors had detected the faint signal from So-young's communication device. It had taken weeks to decode the message and locate its source, but when he learned that his daughter was alive, nothing could stop him from coming to rescue her. "Deploy all fighters," the king ordered. "Destroy the Korthak vessels, but be careful not to harm the surface settlement." The battle in space was brief and one-sided. The 3 Korthak ships were designed for raiding, not fighting a full Valerian battle fleet. Within minutes, 2 of them were destroyed, and the 3rd was crippled. On the planet's surface, Captain Tae-hyun realized his situation was hopeless, but he was not ready to surrender. "If I cannot have the princess," he snarled, "then no one can." He aimed his weapon at Hye-jin, but Jin-woo threw himself between them. The energy blast struck him in the chest, and he collapsed to the ground. Hye-jin screamed in rage. Her Valerian training took over, and she moved faster than the human eye could follow. Her claws extended, and her natural armor hardened. In 3 seconds, Captain Tae-hyun was dead, and his soldiers were fleeing in terror. She dropped to her knees beside Jin-woo. He was badly hurt, but still alive. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you do that?" "Because," Jin-woo said weakly. "You are family." Valerian rescue ships landed around them. Medical teams rushed to help Jin-woo while soldiers secured the area. Princess Hye-jin was finally safe, but all she could think about was the brave human who had saved her life. King Dae-sung arrived on the planet within hours. When he saw his daughter alive and well, he wept tears of joy. But when he looked at the humans who had protected her, his expression was confused. "These are the beings who helped you?" he asked. They looked so small and fragile compared to Valerians. "They saved my life," Hye-jin said firmly. "They took me in when I was injured and dying. They taught me things I never knew about courage and loyalty." The king studied Jin-woo, who was recovering in a medical pod. Valerian healing technology would repair his injuries, but it would take time. "He looks weak," the king said. "How could such creatures fight the Korthak?" "Not with strength," Hye-jin explained. "With intelligence and determination. They never gave up, even when they were outnumbered and outgunned." Admiral Kyung-soo approached them. He had been examining the battlefield and talking to his soldiers. "My lord," he said to the king, "my troops are very impressed with these humans. Their tactics were brilliant. They defeated a superior force using nothing but creativity and courage. And they protected the princess when we could not," added Commander Bo-ram, who had arrived with the rescue fleet. King Dae-sung was quiet for a long time. He looked at his daughter, really looked at her, and saw that she had changed. She stood, straighter, spoke with more confidence, and had a light in her eyes that had not been there before. "You wish to bring them with us," he said. It was not a question. "Yes, father. They deserve to see the galaxy they helped save, and we can learn from them." The king was not sure about this idea. These humans were primitives from a backward world. What could they possibly teach the advanced Valerian Empire? But his daughter was alive because of them. That counted for something. "Very well," he said finally. "We will take their leaders to Nethys Prime as honored guests. But they will be watched carefully." As the rescue fleet prepared to leave the planet, Hye-jin stood with Jin-woo in the medical bay. He was getting stronger every day thanks to Valerian medicine. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Your people do not seem very happy about having humans aboard their ships." "They will learn to accept you," Hye-jin said. "Just as I learned to accept that there are many ways to be strong." Jin-woo smiled. "And we will learn about your civilization, though I suspect we will always prefer our simple life on the planet." "Perhaps," Hye-jin said, "but first you must meet my father properly. I think you two have more in common than either of you realizes." Through the ship's windows, they could see the stars growing closer as they traveled toward the heart of the Valerian Empire. Neither of them knew what challenges waited ahead, but they faced the future together, as family should. The Crystal Palace of Nethys Prime had never seen anything like the humans. Jinwoo walked through corridors that sparkled with their own inner light, past windows that showed 3 suns and floating cities. Everything was beautiful and advanced, beyond imagination. But he was not impressed by the beauty. He was studying how things worked. The energy conduits are inefficient, he told So-young quietly, as they followed Princess Hee-jin through the palace. They could get 30% more power with better routing. The artificial gravity generators are creating stress fractures in the support pillars, she replied, pointing at hairline cracks that even the Valerians had not noticed. Their maintenance schedule is inadequate. Hye-jin heard them talking and smiled. Even in a palace built by the most advanced civilization they had ever seen, the humans were already finding ways to improve things. King Daesung waited for them in the throne room. It was a vast space filled with courtiers and officials. All of them stared at the small group of humans with curiosity and suspicion. "My lord father," Hye-jin said formally, "I present Jinwoo, leader of the human settlement, and his companions. They are the ones who saved my life." The king studied the humans carefully. Up close, they looked even smaller and more fragile than he had expected. "We are grateful for what you did for our daughter," he said. "You will be honored guests in our empire." "Thank you, your majesty," Jinwoo replied. He did not bow or show the elaborate respect that Valerian nobles expected. He simply looked the king in the eye and spoke as an equal. "We are honored to be here, but we hope we can also be useful." Some of the courtiers whispered among themselves. Who were these primitives to speak of being useful to the great Valerian Empire? Lord Jaemin, the king's chief advisor, stepped forward. He was an old Valerian with silver scales and ancient wisdom. "What could your people possibly offer us that we do not already have? Perhaps we could show you instead of telling you," Jinwoo suggested. Over the following days, the humans were given tours of Valerian facilities. They visited factories, shipyards, research centers, and military bases. Everywhere they went, they asked questions and offered suggestions. At the main manufacturing plant, Jinwoo watched the automated production lines. "Why do you stop the entire line when one machine breaks down?" he asked the factory manager. "Because all the machines are connected," the manager explained. "If one fails, the others cannot continue. On our planet, we learn to build systems with redundancy," Jinwoo said. "If one part fails, the others keep working while you fix it." The factory manager laughed. "Primitive methods for primitive people. Our way is more efficient." But Dr. Min-jae, the chief engineer, was listening carefully. That night, he ran calculations based on Jinwoo's suggestions. The next morning, he requested a private meeting with the king. "My lord," he said, "the humans' ideas could increase our production by 40% while reducing maintenance costs." Similar reports came from other facilities. The humans suggested improvements to ship designs, new approaches to resource management, and more efficient ways to organize large projects. At the military academy, General Dongwoo was skeptical when Jinwoo offered to demonstrate human combat.